Good evening, everybody. I know that there are people who are getting online and who are getting ready to join. So I am going to give a couple of moments for people to get online. And once I see that we have some viewers online, I'm going to get started. Welcome back to those of you who were following along and to those of you who were a part of this journey that started in March. Give me a shout out, those of you who are here watching. I wanna know that you're with me. I see I have some online viewers here already. So give me a shout out in the comments and let me see your presence. Anyways, for those of you who are new, my name is Raquel Brown, and I am the founder and I am the leader of Empower and Equip. Empower and Equip is a Christian parenting support organization, and I have dedicated my life, it's my life's work to support all parents and caring adults who take care of children, but in particular, Christian parents on their journey to raise kids that know, love, and serve Jesus Christ. I see my pastor, Pastor Tanya. She said my eyebrows are on point. All right, you see me, Pastor Tanya. Amen. Hello, Jermaine. I see you there. I see Kimberly Clark and I see Melissa. So I'm going to get right into this. Again, as I said, welcome back. For those of you who are wondering what I have been doing, right after I did my season finale of our YouTube channel, I went into production of a podcast. So if you don't know, I'm going to put it up here right now so that you can see. I do have a podcast called the Empowered Parent Podcast, and it is available on every single streaming platform that is available. So I just put it up on the screen for those of you who may not be familiar with it. Go check it out. If you go to empowerandequip.ca, there will be a link that says click here to go to my podcast. And I released my 10th episode. So today is actually the season finale of my podcast. And now I'm jumping back on YouTube. But the episode today that I released just like 5 minutes before I went live is actually a wrap up to the podcast season 1. And it's also a prayer for parents. So I encourage you to check that out and to be blessed. I believe that, and I always say this, that Philippians 4:13 says we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength, and raising our children is included in all things. So just some news of things that are coming up. I do have some new parent workshops that I'm going to be launching soon, and some workshops for churches to support pastors in getting their family ministries and children's ministries and youth ministries in alignment with their vision for their church and in alignment with God's expectation for parents also. So keep an eye out for that. And let's get into this. So in March, when this pandemic dropped on us and we were in lockdown and we weren't really sure what was going to happen with kids going to school, parents were kind of frantic. And then we heard it announced in Ontario that schools were going to be closed. And it was at that time that I did Parents Were Going to Make It Part 1. And it was to support you in this transition, this really abrupt transition from your kids going to school to your kids being at home. At the time, it was like the whole globe was on shutdown and it was on lockdown. And we had to figure out how to do our jobs, some of us, and to parent kids and to support kids with online learning. And if you still want to see that broadcast, it's on my IGTV on Instagram. But that was just to kind of get you through that emergency time. So you could think of that as like an emergency response team. And a lot of YouTubers and parent coaches and teachers were getting online to try to help you figure out how to navigate this time. But now we're going back to school. In the province of Ontario, we are going back to school. Officially, school starts next week, but kids will begin classes on the 16th in the board that I'm in, because they're going to be doing some orientations and some things to get parents and students ready. And I thought it would be beneficial for me to come on and just have a conversation with you about, well, one-way conversation, because y'all can't talk back to me, but to share with you some tidbits, some tips to help you feel at peace with whichever decision you have made. So parents have had the decision to either be online, have their kids learn online, or to have their kids go to school. And I want to start by saying that whichever choice you have made, feel confident in that choice as a parent. Do not feel like you have to justify and break down why you've made the choice that you've made with everybody around you. What we don't want to create is an us versus them type of mentality. So like I say, well, my kids are staying home. Why are your kids staying home? Why would you make your kids stay home? They need social interaction. My kids are going to school. Why would you send your kids to school? Don't you know there's a pandemic? We don't want to create any of that. What we want to do is flood our community with love and support. So the question we should be asking each other is, how can I support you with whatever decision you've made as parents, so that we can come together as a community and nobody feels isolated? Ironically enough, though, I did a little poll, my unofficial poll through Instagram, and 86% of people said, parents said they are going to be having their kids learn at home online. And 13% said that they were going to be sending their child to school. Now, again, you have to make the decision that is best for you based on your circumstance and situation, based on your job situation, based on your home situation, the age and stage of your children, what you know about your kids. At the end of the day, my responsibility or my aim here tonight is to make you feel some peace around your decision. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about kids who are learning online. So I'm going to start with my online learners. I'm going to leave up my information at the bottom in case you want to get in contact with me after. It has how to connect through my podcast, Instagram, and through the web. But let's get into this. So if your kids are learning online, routines are going to be very, very, very important for you. It's not just going to be, okay, here's your laptop or here's your desktop, go to school. You're going to want to look at whatever the class schedule is, because the teachers will release a schedule. Just let me say this. School in a couple of weeks when it fully starts is not going to be like what it was when school shut down during the pandemic. It's not going to be a 1 hour a day or 2 hours a day type of thing. Teachers are working hard right now, and principals and administrators, to establish a school day for your child. So it's not going to look the same, and the teacher will release a schedule. What you want to do is take that schedule and see how it works in your family and in your home. You got to be looking at how many breaks is your child taking a day. I know for me, our daughters are going to be learning from home. And I have said to them that in the morning, when I wake up to go to work, because I still got to go to work, I'm an educator, I got to go into the building. You're going to wake up, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to eat your breakfast, you're going to change your clothes, and I'm going to actually have them physically go for a walk. So my kids normally take the bus to school when they were going to school. So I said to them, even if you just walk to the bus stop and come back home, it's important to get that physical exercise and fresh air, even if it's raining or snowing, because if it was raining or snowing, you would still be going to school, right? So for us, that's going to be part of our routine, because that works for us. But you're going to want a routine that takes into account what the teacher is planning and what works for your family. You also want to make sure that your kids have breaks, whether your kids are kindergarten or your kids are in grade 12, they need frequent breaks. You don't want your child sitting in a chair for an hour straight. They're going to need breaks. They're going to need a snack break. They're going to need stretch breaks, and they're going to need I've been staring at the screen too long breaks. You also might want to consider, if you're able, they sell they sell glasses that have that special protection over them so that it blocks those blue rays from the screen. If your kids are learning online, you may want to consider getting that. Now, I know everybody's financial situation is different. So everything I'm sharing is a suggestion. You're going to have to figure out what works for your family. You have to know your child. You have to know what environment they learn best in and how you can do your best to replicate that environment at home. You also want to include mental wellness. Now, as a Christian, I'm going to say, as if you're a Christian parent watching and you weren't praying with your child every day, you need to begin that routine. It's going to be a stressful time for your kids and for you because you're establishing a new routine. And we know that prayer works. We know that we serve a God that he hears us and that loves us. So it's going to be very important that you embed your Christian faith and that source of Holy Spirit in your life and in your child's life. In addition to that, it's important for you to think about how are you helping your child manage stress, right? And it could be times during the day where you let them listen to some calming music. It could be letting them go outside, even in the winter. If you're home, you're going to say, let's go outside and build a snowman. Let's go outside and get some fresh air. They need those mental health breaks. And some of you might disagree, but if your kids play video games, and for some kids that is a stress reliever within reason, you're going to want to embed that into their schedule and into their time, into the day, if they need those breaks. We do not want our children surviving. We want them thriving. And they're going to be entering a whole new different realm of learning, a whole new different way of learning, and we have to support them on that journey. Another thing for kids who are learning online, if your child has an individual education plan, an IEP, that means there are certain accommodations that your child requires to thrive and to achieve. You need to know what those are, especially if they have environmental accommodations. So accommodations or changes, modifications a teacher would have made in the physical classroom to support your child. Because you're going to have to ask yourself, how can I replicate those modifications at home? You're going to want to be talking to your support team at school, in Peel, we call it your ISSP team or teacher, to find out from them what are ways that you can honor the things your child needs to support their learning in the space that you're providing them at home. You want to make sure, because if your child is on an IEP, that document is saying success is contingent on how well we can make these accommodations and put these supports in. So you want to make sure that you're able to replicate that at home as best you can. It will not be perfect, but as best you can. All right. The next thing I want to touch on for online learners is the actual work area. If possible, you don't want your child sitting in their bed with their Chromebook, with their earbuds in, engaged in learning. You want to create a separate space where they're learning. Now, for some families, it's a permanent space. It's a desk that's in their room, and they know that when they go to that desk, they're learning. For some families, they don't have a desk. So maybe it's the dining room table. If it's the dining room table or a little table that you found or you purchased from somewhere, you want to teach your child, even if they're in kindergarten, to set that space up to get ready for learning. If it's not a permanent space, and maybe it's a little basket that you get from Dollarama, and in that basket has pencils, crayons, the supplies the child's going to need, and they set up their little area before they start. You want to help them understand that playtime is over here and my learning time is over here, and now it's time to learn. These are little routines and things that are going to help them optimize that learning time, right? It's really, really important. It's going to take time to get into the new routine. Give yourself and your child grace, right? The fruit of patience is going to need to be very ripe and ready in your life, because it's going to take some trial and error. You may try something and it doesn't work, and you got to adjust it, you got to modify it. It's important. And along that line, you're going to want to be giving feedback to the teachers. Teachers are figuring this thing out in real time. We've never been in this teaching environment before either. So your feedback is going to help teachers modify and make adjustments so your child can thrive, right? So you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping in contact with the teacher, that the contact information that you have on file with the school is accurate and up to date. I can't tell you how many times as an educator I've tried to call a parent and none of the numbers are working. You're going to want to make sure that you also sort out with the teacher the best way to contact them. Because in the first 2 to 3 weeks of school, there's going to be a lot of conversation going back and forth, whether it's on the phone, through email, through whatever platform your child is using, to help get things running smoothly. And the best way to do that is to ensure that your teacher can contact you. All right. So that's my little spiel for kids who are learning online. I'm going to move over to parents who have kids that are learning in class. So these are our learners who are actually going to be going into the building and going into school. Parents, don't be afraid. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So when you feel powerless, when you don't feel like you're loving the situation, and when you're feeling anxiety, that's an indicator to you that you need support to help you get to that place of power, love, and a sound mind. It might mean you need to connect with other parents who are also sending their child to school, to ask them, what are you doing? How are you feeling? So you can share your common experience, which will increase your confidence and lower your anxiety. This is not a time to be in social isolation. Physical distancing, yes, for safety, but you need to reach out. If you're a part of a church community, plugging into those communities so that you can engage in healthy conversation is going to help bring your anxiety down. All right. So for our parents who are sending kids back to school, you want to practice and prepare. You need to know what the requirements are for your board and for your region for wearing a mask. I know in the region, in Peel District School Board, kids from grades 1 to 12 are required to wear a mask all day. For some of our children, not just littles, for some of our children, that is a tall order to wear a mask all day. It's itching. I don't like it. It's bugging me. Putting it over their eyes, turning it into a headband. We as parents have to support them in learning how to wear that mask. So what could that look like from now, from tomorrow? When your child wakes up, we're going to wear a mask together, everybody, for half an hour. The whole entire family. We're all going to wear a mask together for half an hour. And the next day, it's 45 minutes. And you keep increasing that until your child builds some stamina and some ability to keep that mask on for the school day. It's very important, because what we don't want is phone calls going home. So-and-so won't keep their mask on. It's not working out. Part of that responsibility to prepare the kids for that, especially our youngest learners, is to practice at home. Practice wearing it gradually and practice as a family. It's very important. Talk about the importance of safety with your kids. I went into the school today, and there are, markers on the ground. There, each hallway, it's like you're driving. One right is going up and left is coming down. They have to. You can prep them that school is going to feel and look differently, and stress to them how important it is to follow the instructions of the teacher. I know we always do this, but it's like you would always tell your kids to wash their hands. And now we're kind of hyper vigilant about that. It's the same thing. You want to stress to your kids that we're still in a pandemic. You're going to school, you're going to be safe, and your safety is going to be increased if you listen to the instructions of your teacher, right? You also want to check with your school whether or not, and I've heard different rumors as to whether or not the students have to wear masks that have been provided by the school, or if they're allowed to wear their own mask. So I would suggest that you double check that to ensure that your kids, are going to either be covered at school or if you're allowed to have masks at home. There was something that I saw. A friend of mine posted a picture. I don't think I can share it with you on the screen, but it was a bulletin board that a teacher had put up, and it said, "Treat your mask like underwear. Do not share it." I got to make this bigger so I can read it. It says, "Do not share it. Change it daily. Make sure it's clean. Do not borrow or lend it. And make sure it fits snug, but not too tight." I thought that was really cute. So you want to make sure that, you shouldn't be wearing the same mask every single day. You want to be teaching your kids what their expectations are around in your home. Are you going to buy 5 masks that they wear one each day, and then you throw them in the wash and they have a fresh set for the next week? Are you going to buy disposable masks? Are you going to just rely on the masks the school's providing? The school is required to provide masks for your kids, but I know masks have become like a fashion statement. So you're going to want to make sure that you're clear as to what the expectations are and requirements for your kids going back to school. Hand sanitizer. Try your best when you're purchasing sanitizer, because there are rules in schools around scents, like scent, SCENT. And you're not going to want to buy your kids sanitizer. And I know that sanitizer smells. I get that. But you want to stay away from like the Fruity Tooty, the Caramelita, whatever fragrances there are that are out there, and just stick to the basics, because that's another thing you don't want. To be told that, you bought 20 bottles of sanitizer from Bath and Body Works or wherever, and they're all scented and they can't use it. So just stick to the basics and try not to get, too fancy with that. Okay, so that's kind of my, I have one more thing to share around that. And this is something that you can share with your kids if they're at home, or your kids if they are learning at school. And I actually stumbled across this website, aboutkidshealth.ca/COVID-19. And what it is, it's a site that has videos for different ages and stages to teach kids about what COVID-19 is, about wearing a mask. And it's very child-friendly and parent-friendly. There's videos there about germs, just so kids can understand at their level what COVID-19 is about, and to also calm their anxiety. Because God has not given our children a spirit of fear also either, right? So we want to make sure that we're supporting them with the knowledge that they need to be able to lower that anxiety and walk in more confidence when they go back into school. All right. So like that's my online and in school kind of just quick updates as to how you can prepare and be better ready for either situation. I am going to be answering questions. So if you do have questions, please drop them in the comments. I'm going to address them as best as I can. But I also wanted to talk about checking in with your child. Whether your child is learning online or learning at school, it's still different for them. And you're going to want to make sure that you're checking in with them. So I always say you want to ask open questions. Tell me about the best part of your day, right? What was something fun that your teacher did today, right? So you want to try to get a sense of how they're adjusting to school online and how they're adjusting to school in the classroom, right? You don't want to leave it to chance. Kids are resilient, but you want to monitor where they are in the growth of their resilience, right? Some kids are scared to go back to school, especially if their friends not going back, but they're going back. So you're wanting to have these conversations with them at the end of the day about how they're feeling, keeping in mind that our younger children may not have the vocabulary needed to communicate exactly how they're feeling. So you might want to have like 3 emojis: happy, sad, like straight face, worried, and ask them to pick, how did you feel today at school? Oh, I felt happy and I felt sad. Tell me about that. And then as Christian parents, we don't leave it there. We're not like, oh, you felt so anxious today when you were eating your lunch. Oh, that's so sad. No, you are curating your prayer list that you can address and pray with your child at the end of the day before they go to bed. And in the first few weeks of school, I would say even going into October, you want to try to do this every day because you are monitoring a new situation so you can make adjustments. With that said, you want to check with your board about what are their rules and procedures around changing online to in school or in school to online, right? In some boards, they said once you lock in, you got to lock in for the whole entire term to whatever decision you've made. And in some boards, they say you can change your mind, but there may be a little bit of time before you can actually go back into the classroom because they have to make adjustments. But as a parent, you need to feel empowered to monitor how your child is feeling and not just how they're faring academically, but keep an eye on that too. If your kids were thriving and now they're not doing so well, you got to ask yourself, is the learning environment is the learning of environment contributing to that, and address that with the teacher, right? So you got to check in. It's so important. And I think in a way that this transition and this new way of doing school is actually helping us as parents reset. And the things that we, with good intention, wanted to always do, but couldn't do because of time and scheduling, we're actually being pushed even more to do them. So I know almost every parent wishes they could check in with their child at the end of the day. But before, this pandemic, you're like, yeah, they're doing okay. Now it's going to be even more important that you're checking in and you are getting a pulse on how they're feeling and how they are doing. All right. So I don't see any questions. I'm scrolling up to check here. What I also do want to say, though, and I promise kind of 3 parts. So I've talked about how to plan and prepare for learning at home, for kids that are learning online at home, how to plan and prepare for kids who are actually going to school. One more thing before I move on to the last section. If your child is going to school and they're on the bus, you're going to want to call or contact the bus company to figure out and to learn what the new scheduled bus times are for your child. Because I doubt they're going to be filling the buses the way that they did in the past, which means there'll be more than one run, and you need to know which run your child is going to be on, right? So you're going to want to double check the busing, and if possible, to be home the first day that your child is actually going to school. So you can walk them to the bus stop or drive them to school and kind of be ready, if possible. I know it's not always possible. I know for me, it wasn't, because as a teacher, I have to be at work. But if you can, it's a good idea to try and be home. Someone's asked, do you know of any rules about changing your mind? I know that in the Peel District School Board, there are certain times of the year so as a parent of a child in public school, I would think that if you want to change your mind, they will work with you to make that happen as best they can. However, because school, goes in a certain pattern, in a certain way, I know that in the Peel District School Board, they are creating certain times where it's a good time for you to make that switch. Right. So I don't know that schedule offhand, but I would assume that it's probably at the end of a term or the end of a quadmester. High school students are going to be going to school in quadmesters as opposed to semesters. which will just make the transition for your child easier. But I would contact the school to find out what their ideas are and what their policies are around making those changes from online to in school, or in school to online. And someone's asked for me to repeat the website. The website for Kids Health is aboutkidshealth.ca/COVID-19. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about is fostering relationships. So one of the things that my pastors always say, and I think it's so important, and it's that we are not social distancing, because the more you describe the behavior as social distancing, I think the more you're shifting you're shifting in your mind the importance of relationship. We are physical distancing, so we're physically keeping space, but the relationship piece we have to keep intact. So now in different regions, we're in different stages of reopening, and parks are open. There are actually, places where you can go with your kids and see other kids. You're going to want to make sure as a parent, especially if your kids are learning online and they're not going to school, that you're asking yourself, how am I ensuring that my kids have contact with their friends? And their friends can be school friends, they can be church friends, they can be relatives. But that social development piece is important. And if we are deciding as parents for our children to stay home, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to support their social development. So if you're going to a church and they have an online youth or junior high or children's ministry, you want to plug into that. It's more critical and more important than you think. Right? If your family, your little social bubble, usually meets maybe once every 3 months, you might want to increase that, keeping in mind all of the rules and regulations that have been laid out by the province or by your municipality or by your state or whatever. You want to make sure that you are finding opportunities for kids to connect, even kids that are going to school, because the on-school interaction is not going to be the same as what they're used to. They're probably going to be in a desk, and they're probably going to have very little movement, like sitting on the carpet together. In the beginning, you won't see a lot of that. So you're going to want to, as a parent, ensure that you're embedding opportunities for kids to connect. I'm going to share a little strategy that I do as an adult. And I've shared this and done this with my kids too. And I call it Happy Mail. And what I do is sometimes I will just call a friend of mine and I will say, what's your address, your mailing address? And they'll give it to me. And then I will just get like a mailer envelope. Those Amazon envelopes that we love to receive in the mail. Because when you get that Amazon package, you know that it's going to make you so happy, So I get a mailer envelope like that. And I will just put things like maybe a sleep mask, maybe like a print that says, Jesus loves you. I may go to Walmart and buy a $9.97 t-shirt, pajama, and I just put things in this envelope and I mail it to my friend. And over the years that I've been doing it, the impact that it's had on my friends, because you know what you get in the mail, right? Junk and bills. But the impact that Happy Mail has on adults is incredible. For some people, it brightens their whole entire day. So can you imagine if as parents, you said, okay, you know what? Let's do some snail mail here. Your kids can do a little pack for my kids and my kids will do one for yours. And let's send them off and let's just spread some love and joy for our children, right? It isn't physically connecting, but it's emotionally connecting. Can you imagine if your little 7-year-old son or daughter gets a package with their name on it and they open it? Listen, even if it's pure dollar store things that is going to break, it's the thought that counts. Somebody was thinking of me, and it warms their heart and it reminds them that they're loved. So that's just a little example of something that I have done as a parent and as an adult. Try it. Even if you're an adult watching, I challenge you to try this with your friends and see the world of difference that it will make. All right. So I am Coming to a close, I want to remind you to check out my my latest podcast episode. I believe that it is relevant for where we are right now. And I just wanted to, it's actually a prayer. Like the entire episode is pretty much a prayer just to support and cover and affirm you, to remind you that you have the capacity to be a great parent, because the same power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead lives inside of you. And if as parents we come together on this journey, we're going to be able to tap into that power and pull it to the front, even when we think that we can't. The last thing I'm going to say is, and I'm going to share my screen for this. Please, right now, like this video. If you're watching it right now, click like right now. Like this video and share it with your friends who you think will benefit from it, just to help them feel more calm and more prepared to go back to school. But I want to share something. As a community, we often talk about the things that we can do to support each other. And I want to share, this initiative that's being run by the Reach Center. And the Reach Center is a church that is pastored by Pastor Loretta and RJ McEwen in Ottawa. And they are doing a Chromebook drive. So normally we do a backpack drive, but I believe that God placed it in Pastor Loretta and her husband's spirit to do something to support in a different way. And I'm gonna share this with you, and I'm also going to challenge you. So let me find this and let me share it with you. So this is the GoFundMe page for the Reach Center Ottawa. And they are, I'm going to make it big on the screen here. They have a goal of $25,000. They want to give Chromebooks to 100 children, I believe. And I am asking you to support this cause. I am asking you to, whatever you're able to give, if it's $5, if it's $100, if it is $1,000, if you're watching and you're a pastor or you lead an organization and you say, yeah, we can do $5,000. Let's help them reach their goal at the Reach Center. All right. So I didn't even, do a good job of figuring out how to share this with you. I'm gonna find the link. And I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to put the link right now in as a banner. And I really love when churches do things that help them, like, put their money where their mouth is, or let their vision align, let their actions align with their vision. That's what I'm trying to say. And I believe that the Reach Center is doing that. They are trying their best to align their initiatives with their vision, and this is one of them. So I am calling on my church family. Whether or not you go to the Reach Center is irrelevant. We're talking about the capital K kingdom of God. We're talking about reaching children for whom this can make such a difference in their life, right? So go to the link, right? Donate what you can. Share the link on your social media handles, and let's help this church reach their goal as they do their job to reach their community. Right. So I'm gonna take a chance right now, and I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is there anybody in the chat that can say, I am going to support? Just give me a thumbs up in the chat. Listen, I don't care if it says $5 is all you have. Every little bit comes together to help them get closer to their goal. I want you to drop it in the chat. I want somebody to say, I will support. Somebody, because so many times we talk about the things that we could do, but then when we're presented with something that we can do, we kind of just scroll on. So this is an opportunity for us to really, really support an initiative that is helping a church align not just with their vision, but with the Great Commission, right? This is what we're called to do, to go into the world and make a difference and make an impact. And they're doing it. I see, I'm in, I will support. Yes, whatever you can, let's help the Reach Center reach their goal. So that is my episode for tonight. I pray that you were blessed, that you were empowered, and that you feel a little bit better. Even if you don't have children or going back to school, that this broadcast helped you better understand how you can support families. So if kids are going back to school, you might want to put a little mask and a sanitizer together within a little bag with a tag that says, I'm praying for you and you're going to be great. You're going to thrive this year, right? For kids who are learning online or who are learning at home, you might want to put a little water bottle and a little snack and say, I believe in you. Thrive this year. Regardless of the situation, I believe you're going to thrive, right? So there are ways that we can reach out and reach in to make an impact in our community. So guys, you know what I always say, and I said it already on this broadcast, you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. And raising the children that God has put in your care is included in all things. And I am so honored to be able to be with you on this journey and to constantly remind you that you are an empowered parent. Please like and share this video, and I'll see you next time.